so today I just thought I'd talk about things I wish I had known about. Retinol, retinoids, tretinoin, things like that, vitamin A, before I got into skincare, because I've learned some lessons, and number 4 is a very painful lesson that I don't want anyone else to repeat. So, okay. First of all, you got to start slowly with retinoids, tretinoin, those types of things. So I really made a huge mistake. Right when I was first getting into skincare, I was very excited. I got to try tretinoin. It's good stuff. Everyone loves it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people love it. So I gave it a whirl, and you know what? I learned a lesson that day. Don't just start out of the blue. It irritated my skin really badly, leaving it red, peeling, flaky for days. So the way I ended up going after that was I didn't end up finishing that tube, and I really didn't get to like the tretinoin, the stronger stuff, until years later. So I really found the way to go for me, especially for those with sensitive skin, is to acclimate your skin to retinoids and increase the strength slowly over a period of lots of time. So starting out with a weak retinol, the Versed Press Restart is a great one. I'll link to it below. The Good Molecules Gentle Retinol Cream. Those are 2 great retinols that are very gentle. You can use, most people will be able to use them every single day without any issues, but still start out slowly, every other day, every second day, things like that. So using a weaker retinoid and working your way up is the way to go. So starting with something like this is great. Next up, after that, you can move on to a stronger retinol. A great one that's 1% is the Paula's Choice Clinical Retinol Treatment. It's one I used for months, and it's a good one, very hydrating. Most people won't have any issues with dryness, flakiness using that one, but it is a strong one, so it's a good one, but step your way up to that one. Next up, you can go to something like a Retinal, which is stronger than Retinol, because it requires less conversion in the skin. So something like the Geek Gorgeous A-Game is a good one. They have an A-Game 5 and an A-Game 10. The A-Game 5 is weaker, so I would next go to the 5. After you finish this bottle, go up to the 10 next. And then after that, perhaps, if you're in the U.S., you're lucky, you can move on to something like a Dappling or different gel. You can get generically, I'll link to it below, or you can get the name brand. They're all the same. It doesn't matter. There's prices are different. So you can move up to something like this, which is still not as strong as tretinoin or things like that, but it's still going to be strong enough to continue to acclimate your skin. And then after you finish maybe a few months of this, a couple tubes of it, move on to a tretinoin prescription, which is going to be the strongest because it requires the least amount of conversion into your skin. So acclimating your skin slowly over a period of months, even years, is much better than slowly or quickly getting your skin into something else and having it freak out. So I found this was great, and Altreno is the version I end up loving. So another good tip I learned was different ways to use it. So the way I use it is called the sandwich method. So I'll, in my evening skincare routine, I'll cleanse, I'll tone, I'll apply serum and a moisturizer. Then I'll apply my tretinoin, give it a few minutes to soak in, and then I'll apply another thicker moisturizer or a sleeping mask over that. One that works well for a lot of people is the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm, because it has some cic in there, which is great for soothing and calming skin down. So the sandwich method is a great one. It works well for a lot of people. Another method, you can certainly mix your moisturizer in with your retinol, or mix your retinol in with your moisturizer. So have a couple globs of moisturizer, mix it in with a little bit of retinol, and smooth over your skin that way. So you're kind of weakening it, but you're still adding some good hydrating products. And then you don't necessarily need to use a sandwich method, but applying a good thick moisturizer after your retinol is going to really help. Again, La Roche-Posay Cicaplast is great. There's a lot of great sleeping masks out there as well. So you don't necessarily have to use just that one, but there's a lot of good ones. And I really think following it up with anything that adds hydration is going to be beneficial and really calm your skin down and help it acclimate better. Another thing I really wish I would have known was to alternate retinoids with other actives. You don't necessarily need to use all of your actives and exciting ingredients in one routine, especially if you use certain products like exfoliants that are already prone to causing potential irritation to your skin. Using them in the same routine as retinoids, especially strong things like tretinoin, could be a nightmare. So you're better off alternating nights. So what I do is I use my retinoid one night, the next night I'll do my exfoliation, and then the next night my retinoid, next day exfoliation, and so on. And you know what, if you find out you don't necessarily need your exfoliation as much and you'd rather just go with retinoids every night, you can certainly do that. It's so individual. It's all up to you what works best for you. I found I still like to add in some exfoliants, so that seems to work well. Other ingredients like copper peptides, they're kind of iffy with retinol. Some people say it can negate the effects of the peptides whatsoever, so there's no point of layering them. Other people say there's an increased chance of irritation in certain copper peptides with retinol, so that's why I say to alternate or even do a third night in your routine where you just apply other actives like azelaic acid or copper peptides, things that you don't get to typically use with your retinoids. Next up, I got a couple things not to do. This is the one I really want to mention. Don't wax your eyebrows or your face for that matter when you're using retinoids. Because you will not be happy you did, because I did that. I used to wax my eyebrows, and after using retinoids for a few months and waxing my eyebrows, I didn't just wax, I waxed off the entire skin. So that was kind of a fun one to walk around with red eyes for a while. So you'll never make that mistake twice, I can guarantee you, because I never did. So if you're going to want to wax, you're going to want to take a break from retinoids altogether, 2-3 weeks. But I just recommend finding something else, because taking a break from it and then starting back up, it just becomes more complicated. So don't wax, because you'll be very upset with yourself if you do. Another thing I've read, I've never done this, is don't apply tretinoin on wet skin. I've heard from people that do, and that's another thing they say, I will never make that mistake again because my face was burning for 4 days afterwards or 5 days afterwards. So don't apply tretinoin to damp, wet skin. It's just not a good recipe. So no waxing, no wet skin. Don't do it. Just don't even mess with it. It's not even worth it, because finding out the hard way is not enjoyable. Okay, so next up, typically if you can use your retinoid products in your evening routine, that is the best way to go. Many different retinoids, retinols can be degraded by the presence of UV light, which is typically why you'll find tretinoin in a metal tube with no light in it. Although there are some new types of retinoids that are exempt to that rule. Adapalene, Altreno, Tretinoin microsphere, those are all newer forms of retinoids, and they typically do not degrade in the presence of UV light. But I still think if you can use them in your evening routine, that's the best way to go. And then in your daytime routine, be sure to use sunscreen regardless of if you're using retinol in the daytime or nighttime. Because any good effects you have gotten from the retinoids in the presence of UV light will just be wasteful or wasteless or just a waste. So don't do it. So just use sunscreen. Another thing is to be patient. Typically, the best effects from retinoids will start to show and be noticeable after 3 or 4 months, and they just continue to get better over time. So patience is key. Don't use it for a month and say, I'm not noticing any benefits, or even 2 months, or even 3 months. Give it time. Give it 4, 5, 6 months. I think most people after that period of time will be noticing the results. Less wrinkles, less breakouts, less blackheads, things like that. So it's really important to be patient with everything with skincare. So many people, including myself, get impatient and, well, I didn't notice anything after a month, so I'm done. You know, so a lot of ingredients take months for them to notice their benefits and results. Another thing, retinization. There's a reason there's a word called retinization, because it describes the period of time when your skin is adjusting to using retinols and retinoids. And it is basically a period of purging, dryness, flakiness, redness, irritation, unhappiness, generally, depending on, you can certainly minimize the chances and impact of the retinization by being patient, going slow, using other hydrating products with it, pulling back a couple days off here and there if you need to. There's a reason that word exists, though, because, you know what, most people are going to go through it, and it's not typically enjoyable, but once you get through that, typically lasts about a month, you'll be much happier. And just typically I say stick it out, but if you're sticking it out a month and you're still noticing the retinization, then it might be time to either change to a different retinoid product, change something in your routine, or just pull back completely, or see a dermatologist. Nothing wrong with that. And then last, another kind of tip I learned the hard way, be very careful using it around your eyes and your mouth. So tretinoin around the eye area. A lot of people use it around their eye area with no problems, but it can cause the oil glands in your eyes to slow down their production and keep your eyes hydrated. And once you've damaged those oil glands, a lot of the times it's permanent, so you will feel like your eyes are dry all the time. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Be very careful around your eyes because that damage can be permanent, and once you've done that, you're not going to be very happy you've made that mistake. The other thing around your mouth is very important, just because a lot of times people get issues like with perioral dermatitis, issues around the corners of their mouth. I've also had that happen. So if you apply it too close to your mouth, that area gets dry and flaky and can even bleed a little bit. So leave it a little ways away from your lips and mouth, or put a hydrating lip balm or something on before you apply the Tretinoin, because that is something that takes a while to heal as well. So you don't want to mess with that. Not very fun. So anyway, these are just my tips that I've learned. I guess there's 9 basic ones, but the biggest ones: don't wax, don't apply to wet skin, be patient, and go slowly. And I guess the other thing I should mention is strength isn't as important as your skin tolerating it on a daily basis. A lot of people want to work up to the highest strength and then just stick with that, but that might not necessarily be the best bet for everybody. You might be better off using something a little bit lower strength, but something that your skin tolerates better, than trying to get up to the highest strength. And consistent use over the period of time is the bigger thing, not so much the prescription strength or the amount of retinol. So anyway, be patient, be happy, and get your vitamin A. So anyway, interested if you guys have any other thoughts, comments, anything I missed, leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys, and stay tuned for more tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.